maybe this could be an interesting exercise. Which characters and which actors, and I think that we can. I think there are some. I could already think of a few, but which actors and characters fit the role? Like, yeah, great job, you got it right.
Look, the dynamic duo. I got.
Hey, welcome to the Dynamic Duo. I'm Franz.
I'm Kevin. Welcome to the new Batcave and Avengers Tower, everybody. I can tell you three right off the back, but you're gonna want to slap me because of it.
Uh-oh.
Because the immediate three that I can think of.
I think.
I'll be honest with you. I can think of four right off the bat.
I think I know the four you're thinking about, but go on.
Robert Downey Jr. with Iron Man.
Absolutely.
And Tony Stark.
Yes.
Michael Keaton for the '89 Batman.
Oh.
And the reason why I say this honestly, to me, Keaton played Batman perfectly with the separation of Bruce Wayne and the Caped Crusader. A lot of people love the Christopher Nolan thing and what have you because of the whole that's not Batman, okay? That it's, in my opinion, it's truly not.
It's not.
That's not Batman. Gal Gadot for Wonder Woman. No questions asked, in my opinion.
Yes.
And last but not least, God rest his soul, Christopher Reeve still for Superman.
Ooh, interesting. So first of all, your four are not the four that I thought you were going to say. Second of all, let's discuss it. I'm not going to touch Batman because it's.
Please touch Batman. I want to hear what you got to say.
It's too sensitive, man. I'm just gonna let it there because I was there. I was where you are, my friend, and I'm not gonna force the issue. Listen, you can love your little Batman 1988.
Ow, go ahead.
Listen, I'm not gonna ruin it for you. Why should I do that? That's terrible of me to ruin that. I'll leave it to say this. I love that movie too. I love that for 10 years, a decade. I love that movie. The key word being loved, past tense. So I'm not gonna get into it. You feel free to love your Batman. Feel free to love Michael. Feel free to love Michael Keaton. Now, in terms of nailing the character, you can't get closer to Robert Downey Jr. as Iron Man. The thing that's interesting is that initially, he wasn't the archetype actor for the character. The character was basically based on a young Tom Selleck from back in Magnum PI days. That was a good depiction of who, not personality wise, but looks wise.
Yeah.
But what Robert Downey Jr. did is that he was like, you know what, more than any other actor, I'm gonna make this me. Like, I'm gonna redefine it. I'm going to redefine it. And that's powerful because perhaps I think it's unique. Like, he redefined it. Now, Tony Stark, in my mind's eye, is more Robert Downey Jr. than the Tony Stark that I know and love. Like, that's one of the most impossible thing to achieve, but he achieved it. So he delivered my Tony Stark, and yet it's not exactly the same Tony Stark, but it's the same. It's a fantastic delivery.
Right.
I think that Chris Evans delivers a perfect Captain America from an actor's point of view. From an actor's point of view. Where his Captain America is not perfect to me, and I don't know if he should fit in my list, is that the rest of it isn't Captain America. But what I mean by the rest of it is the costumes and that's not Captain America. I have yet to see Captain America, in my opinion. The costumes, they've come close in like Age of Ultron and Civil War, but I want to see my Captain America. And Chris Evans delivers, both the Steve Rogers and Captain America personality, attitude, size, build. That I don't think you can get better casting than that. But they didn't do justice to the character from a production point of view. Same thing with Chris Hemsworth. Chris Hemsworth initially wasn't my choice for Thor. I wanted someone bigger, taller, more Nordic. But Chris Hemsworth has convinced me that he is a perfect Thor. Now they've ruined the character, they've destroyed the character, but I think that casting is on point. So so far, Robert Downey Jr. and sidelines, Chris Hemsworth, and Chris Evans. I think that Henry Cavill is a perfect Superman. I think Henry Cavill is the perfect Superman. And I think he's the perfect Superman more than I think he would get the #1 spot for me. More than Robert Downey Jr., more than everybody else.
That's surprising. I'm a little surprised by that.
Yes, I thought you would be. Here's what I mean by that.
I was going to ask you to elaborate, please.
Yes. Here's what I mean. From a design point of view, you can't get closer to Superman. Like when we think Superman, we think characteristic chest, the muscular build, the poise, the stance, the look, the jaw, the face. Like Henry Cavill to me comes right off the pages as Superman.
Okay.
To me, he comes right off the pages as Superman. When I see Jim Lee, like when I look at one of my statues or whatever, it doesn't get close. To me, it comes right off the pages. Like it doesn't come off the pages more than that. And as an actor, I think he delivers beautifully, both Clark Kent and Superman. I think the delivery couldn't be more. Now, out of respect, I get Christopher Reeves. I get what you mean by Christopher Reeves. Christopher Reeves holds a deeper place in my heart than Henry Cavill does. And we've talked about this in the show before. Christopher Reeves is still the greatest Superman than Henry Cavill. If it stops right now, Christopher Reeves will remain Superman more than Cavill does as an actor. But there are some issues with Christopher Reeves. His physique is not quite as superheroic as Cavill, even though he has the height. And even though, by the way, he did get in shape, but the costume didn't reflect those cuts. But it doesn't change the fact that, the physique is not archetype, stereotypical superhero. And the reason we love Christopher Reeve, we have to kind of recognize that is because he was the first. He was indelible in our minds. He was the first. So we think, oh, that's the definition that, as young experience going to see Superman for the first time. But critically speaking, objectively speaking, I don't think there's any actor to character that's closer to Henry Cavill Superman.
Can I add something? Because you just woke up something in my brain. I know why you said Cavill, even beyond your own explanation.
Interesting.
I just figured it out.
Go ahead.
The biggest difference between the two actors and the two portrayals is that when Chris did it back in 78, he played Superman and Clark Kent with a certain earnestness and innocence that's not there completely for Cavill. Cavill has it, and it's there for both parts. But as we've seen in Justice League, and I can say this after watching this thing 4 times now, is that when Cavill is really digging into his persona as Kal-El, even more than Clark Kent, there is I don't need to take this. I don't have to take this. I could blow up the entire planet if I wanted to. you all could wake up dead tomorrow morning if I decided, and not to turn him into a dark, nasty character, but there's a certain edge to Cavill that works for this day and age as Superman that wasn't necessarily there with Christopher Reeve Superman. And the other reason why it wasn't there is the way the character had been constructed and structured, period, was based on the old cartoons, in part the old television show with George Reeve, because that was really the only other thing we had. And the only other pieces that we had were the comic books. And the comic books themselves were written, and the animated shows from the past, because the only one that we had, and I'm pretty sure you remember this in terms of the animated pieces, were the old Flasher cartoons and the ones that were done by Filmation in the late 60s and early 70s. We didn't have anything else. That was it. And they were written and constructed from a different level of innocence. And the writers, directors, and producers of who we see as Superman now, they've grabbed that part to create that difference between the two actors. That's why it's there. To a point, it's even carried over into Tyler Hoechlin for Superman and Lois. Mm-hmm. A little tinge of it was there for Lois and Clark with Dean Cain, but just barely. Mm-hmm. It's you've got more of a Henry Cavill portrayal, kind of being copied in a manner of speaking with Tyler Hoechlin, because of Cavill's portrayal. Because Cavill's not necessarily, I'm not saying he's not truth, justice in the American way, he is. But it's a matter of, if he's going to break you in half, he's going to break you in half. He's not going to think about it twice.
Your observation is yet again brilliant. And I really hope this show gets traction for no other reason than for people to sort of kind of learn and get it. Your observation is absolutely brilliant. It's an interesting observation, though, and it merits discussion. One of the pet peeves I have is the darkening of the genre. Mm-hmm. It happened in the 90s, where all of a sudden everyone had to be dark and somber, and I don't like that. I think that light of innocence is what the genre is about. You can have conflict, you can have drama, you can have death, but told in a different way than many of the stuff that are happening today. I think that your observation is 100% correct. I would say it like this, because I think it's complex. I think Henry Cavill's Superman is, the way I would describe it is to say it's more complex than the Christopher Reeves Superman. I'm not saying better, more complex. Mm-hmm. Here's why I give it a pass. And here's why I think it's a great depiction of the character. It doesn't contradict the Christopher Reeve Superman, in my opinion. It doesn't contradict it. A lot of changes that have occurred to characters have occurred at the expense of the character. So Tom Holland Spider-Man, that's not Spider-Man. It's just not what he was, ever. He wasn't that when he was a teenager, and he certainly wasn't that after he became a teenager. Oh, Mr. Stark. Oh my God. Oh, Captain America. Oh, Captain America. Can I? Mr. Stark? He was never that. He just wasn't that. And so on and so forth. the Hulk isn't just a rampaging, hard, growling monster. He never was. That's not what he was. From all the incarnations, I mean, there were exceptions when he's lost his mind, but all the incarnations of the Hulk was never this just mindless monster that go smash. That's not the character, what the character was. I don't think that Henry Cavill contradicts Superman, or who the character was. I think Henry Cavill's Superman is beautiful in the sense that I see the American apple pie, truth for justice in the American way. I see the simple guy who doesn't really want to be a star, and he's just driven to do what he feels compelled to do. That scene, for example, in Justice League, where he's in a cornfield and he's like rubbing the cornfield, that communicates it to me a lot, because it just says, this is my roots. This is what I'm about, you know? And so that innocence is portrayed. It's not portrayed as, two-dimensionally as before, but it's there. When he hugs Lois and Martha, that innocence is, to me, it's there. It's portrayed differently, but it is there. And I have to say, I do like the other side of it. I do love, in fact, the other side of it. One of the problems that one of the reasons why I didn't like Superman was because, in my opinion, he was too much of a punk back in the day. Like, everybody was kicking his butt. I'm like, dude, just Superman. Why is everybody kicking your butt? I hated that. And I was never a fan of Superman because of that. You know, he'd be fighting the simplest villains and struggling. And at the time, the explanation was, well, you know, you can't find a legitimate threat for Superman. No, you could actually. You just were too stupid to be able to do that. But that's another discussion. So the other half that I like is, while the innocence is there, the purity of heart is there, I am Superman, and I can get down when I need to get down. I love that. I love the depiction of his power. I had a total geekasm when he shows up at Justice League, but he doesn't just show up. He doesn't just show up. He shows up like, okay, guys, you know, I'm here. It's over. I love that. So brilliant observation. I don't know if what I said made any sense, but
it does completely. It's again, not to keep gushing, but this is why talking to you, communicating with you on these subjects and others is so refreshing.
Yeah,
because a lot of fans, and I'm a fanboy for certain things, believe me, I know I am. It's, you just make it worth it. Because even looking at you on the screen, and this is going to make you laugh, I know it is. If Hollywood ever came to call and they were looking for Jon Stewart,
oh yeah, right. Get the hell out of here.
You should do it. You've got Jon Stewart's look.
Well, I don't know about that, but
yeah,
but
you've got his look, and to be honest, your voice tone is perfect for Stewart.
Well, I hate my voice, by the way. Every time I watch these things in reverse,
I don't like mine either, but I've been told for years, no, you have the perfect voice. No, I don't.
You got a great voice. I think nobody likes their own voice. I think that's what the rule is. You know that? You're not supposed to like your own voice. But I'll tell you what, though, if I may get off the me and Jon Stewart thing, one thing that I'll say to you that I wanted to point out in your observation, and the brilliance of your observation, is that Superman, as depicted by Henry Cavill, is guilty of what you said in other ways too, ways beyond the actor. I think one of the faults of Zack Snyder, and you know I'm a Zack Snyder fan, you know that, but one of the faults for Zack Snyder is that he doesn't depict Superman well. So while I said the whole thing about the innocence is there and it's portrayed in a cornfield and stuff like that, the what's the word I'm looking for? The tone, the overly cast saturation he doesn't know how to present the character. And Superman should be presented in light, like the color schemes, the suit, all that. And so your explanation is correct, because it's not just, I was looking at just the depiction of the character, actor to character, and I was saying Henry Cavill is perfect Superman, but you're correct, because when you look at the grand scheme of things, Superman in the Zack Snyder verse isn't portrayed as the Superman that he is, beyond character. So, whether it's daylight or it's daytime or nighttime, that's a Superman decision. Whether the sky is bright or if it's cloudy, that's a Superman decision. Whether it's overly saturated and darker tones, higher contrast, that's a Superman. And Zack Snyder has maintained his style, which I love for certain subjects. It doesn't fit for Superman. So he comes off as, I don't want to say darker, but more somber than he should.
Agreed. I personally, even though I do get, and I've beaten up on the man too, I personally would love to see what he would do with the Green Lantern Corps. I really would. I would love to see his depiction of the Green Lantern Corps.
Yeah. I'd like to see the Snyderverse. Dude, I want to see the Snyderverse. I want to see all of DC represented through the lens of Zack Snyder. Let's not forget that Wonder Woman, the first movie, was through the lens of Zack Snyder. And let's not forget what happened when that lens was no longer there.
I know.
So I'd like to see it all. But one of the things that they need to stop, and it's a pet peeve, and you'll recognize it as soon as I say it, the whole nighttime CGI nonsense just needs to stop. I think one of the reasons why Marvel is perceived as light and DC is perceived as dark is because a lot of the Marvel movies are set in the daytime.
Mm-hmm.
In the daytime.
Mm-hmm.
And they need to stop with the nighttime business. It just ruins it.
The dark thing actually started with Tim Burton's '89 for Batman. It did, and they literally have not stopped it since.
Yeah.
Because as much as I like Justice League, and I've told you over and over again, I do like Ben Affleck's Batman. I have to admit to you, I have not been happy with a depiction of the Batcave since '89. Now, I have to admit to you, I did like how they set the Batcave up for Batman Forever. There was something about that design and showing the separate areas of the cave. I like that. I really wish they had carried through with that. It looked like the Batcave. These places that they keep coming up with that are no more than converted warehouses, they make me sick to my stomach.
I understand.
I can't stand the fact that the Justice League ending and introducing the Hall of Justice is basically, okay, this is part of Wayne property that I'm not using, so it's going to become the Hall of Justice. That's stupid. I don't like that at all. If you're not going to do it as even though it will be cheesy, if you're not going to do it as the traditional Hall of Justice, then at least do the Watchtower. And if you're not going to do the Watchtower, then come up with something that works.
I've heard that complaint before, and let me give it a pass. And by the way, I understand where you're coming from, but let me give it a pass. First of all, Wayne Manor, the Waynes are filthy rich. And so they may have more than one manor, and right. It's not necessarily the manor that's over the Batcave. So
right.
An easy explanation is that, no, this is not, no, are you kidding me? That's not where Bruce Wayne lives. That's just a Wayne manor somewhere. So it's not, there wouldn't be that correlation of the Batcave. The renovation of it would bring it no closer to Avengers Tower as opposed to Avengers Mansion in the comic books. So, accept one, I'll accept the other. It doesn't really matter. And
Right.
the way they're depicted, it doesn't really matter. I think you're right that it would be a mistake if it was Wayne Manor. That's where Bruce Wayne lives, and they have a room in there or somewhere thing, and the Batcave is underneath. I think that would be terrible, and that would be wrong. And I also agree with you that, yeah, I'm hard pressed to see a good depiction of the Batcave. And but having said that, I have to say, I think Ben Affleck's Batman. The thing that people forget, and you said it started with Tim Burton. Batman is a dark character. The same way Superman needs to be presented in the light is the same way Batman needs to be presented in a relative dark.
Right.
I think, and I get that sensibility from you. Sometimes it's too dark. Batman is too dark.
You can overplay
it. Sometimes they overplay it, and it's overplayed. And I'd like to see a Batman in the light. I'd like to see a Batman in the light because, correct me if I'm wrong, in the comic books. So what is the history of Batman in the comic books? Is he a light, dark? Because I know Gil Kane, initially it was a dark character, and then he became sort of a cartoony or Justice League daylight character, which was then influenced by people like Neil Adams that made him more. So what's your Batman? I don't know Batman.
I mean, for Batman. Me, I've loved them all. I'm that fan of the material. Of course, the 60s material has a deep place in my heart because I grew up with it. But from the comic book standpoint, he's always been a dark character, but they lightened him up when they did the 60s material because they felt that they needed to balance the two sides. And that's where the years of Neil Adams and Denny O'Neil are so important because collectively they're the ones that said, okay, the TV series is over with. We don't have, Casey Kasem performing Robin anymore. There is no Batmite or Bat Family comic book. So let's get the character back to where he belongs. And that's it. Part of why, and I don't want to, want to beat a dead horse or drone on for too long about this, but part of why I said earlier that I really liked Keaton's portrayal of Batman is because the way that he balanced Bruce Wayne and Batman worked for me. It's with a lot of the other actors that have played the character, you don't get that. The part of why, and I know you want to kill me because I liked Batman Forever, but part of why I like Batman Forever is because it's along the line of what you yourself just said. They lightened it up. Now, some of it was out and out silly, but they lightened up the portrayal enough for you to enjoy Batman, to enjoy Dick Grayson as Robin, and getting right down to it, to even enjoy Alfred, okay? With a lot of these other things, having him so dark, having him so melancholy, and doing the, I'm Clint Eastwood with a cold voice, it takes away from it. Because the only other depiction that I think is absolutely perfect for the contemporary age is what the animators were able to do. And you brought this up about modern animation time and time again, is the way that the animated series depicted Batman. Because you still got the lightened up Bruce Wayne, you got the hard-edged Batman, but you even got the Batman, and this is why that animated series works so doggone well. you even got the Batman that was willing from time to time to make jokes when he was kicking your behind. Because one of my favorite episodes from it, and you probably remember this one, is, I believe it was the Laughing Fish episode. I think that was the one. It basically, they took one of the comics and really animated it. And it was one of the ones about Harley having him as a prisoner. And Batman seriously infuriated the Joker. And it was perfect. Because at the end of the episode, he looked at the Joker and said, you know, she had me. And she had me better than you ever did. I was upside down. I was disoriented. I was dizzy. I didn't know where I was. She had taken the utility belt. I had no way out. What's wrong, Puddin'? Because that was the thing. The Joker was like, stop it, stop it, stop it. She can't be better than me. She can't be better than me. And he looked him dead in the face and said, what's wrong, Puddin'?
Wait, was that Justice League or Batman
no,
the
this
animated series?
is a Batman animated series episode. I'm surprised you're not aware of this one.
I'm going to look for it.
It's fabulous. It's fabulous. I'll get the name for it and the exact name for it for you later, and I'll send it to you. It's a fabulous episode.
You know, it's exactly right. Again, it's an amazing thing. It's an amazing thing to me, and I'm not ashamed of it. And I think a lot of fans are confused about their feelings. But for me, the animated series, the animated, you know, not all of them are perfect.
Right.
Not all of them are perfect. Some of them are pretty horrible. But the animated, to me, is the perfect depiction of those characters. And you're right. Animated series Batman is Batman because it's dark, but it's not crazy dark. It's not over the top dark. And it's also a Batman that can interact with the Justice League in the daytime and be perfectly normal and be, you know, so yeah, and what confuses me is what I'd like to see as an experiment. Man, I've been watching Young Justice, and I loved that show at the time, but the more I watch it, the more like it's unbelievable to me, the delivery for that show.
Yeah.
First of all the actors were like top actors, and everything about the show, the complexity, the depth, you know, it's unbelievable. And the experiment that I would like to see is take those producers, whoever made those animated series, give me a live action. I'd love to see what that looks like. You know, instead of hiring, you know, whatever, hire those guys to direct a live action. I would love to see what that looks like.
This looks like a job for Superman.
Hey, look! It's Spider-Man!
The dynamic duo return next week. Don't miss it.